Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about tinted moisturizers slash skin tints. I personally reach for these the most out of anything in my collection just because it's fuss-free, it's easy to use. If I'm really busy and I don't have time in the morning, I know it's like gonna give me a foolproof look that's very natural, and that's just what I gravitate towards. So I wanted to sit down today and make a video of all of my favorite skin tints and tinted moisturizers, and I'm gonna go in order from the least amount of coverage to the most amount of coverage. That way you guys can get a good idea of how much coverage it's gonna give you. All of these are super beginner friendly, like I said, because they're fuss free and they can all be applied with your fingertips. They're just super easy to use, and why I gravitate towards them over a high coverage foundation, just because there's less amount of steps that go into it to create, in my opinion, a pretty flawless base. So like always, everything will be listed in the description box below, and I will have all of these listed in order of how I go through them. And yes, before you leave, don't forget to hit subscribe, join the family, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and let's just get right into it. Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna start from the least amount of coverage and work up to the most full coverage. So the first product that I want to mention is the Tula Face Filter Blurring and Moisturizing Primer. Now I know what you're thinking, you're like, that's not a skin tint nor a tinted moisturizer, but I wanted to throw this in here because in my opinion it's close enough to a skin tint. Now if you're wondering, if you're curious between the difference between like a skin tint and a tinted moisturizer, basically they're synonymous in my opinion. It's just another way of saying tinted moisturizer. So but I think this is close enough to a skin tint tinted moisturizer because this does have a color to it. So it is a primer, but because it has that color property to it, I think, like in my opinion, I consider it to be a tinted moisturizer. Now it does blur as well. It doesn't blur a whole lot, but it does a little bit. I oftentimes use this as like my base for everything, especially if I'm going in with a tinted moisturizer on top of it, because it just gives me that added little boost of coverage and color. And I personally am in the shade Original. I got this before they expanded the shade range, and this is like the original version that was like the universal, but I know they've come out with shades lighter and darker of this. But, and I can't remember the equivalent, but I want to say I think they still call it Original. I'm not sure, but I will link it down below. But it has a pump, which is amazing, but it comes out white, and then as you massage it in, you can tell it starts to give a little bit of color. Not too much coverage though, but that is what it looks like. So it just basically gave my hand a little bit of color, and it is very moisturizing. As far as the blurring properties, like I said, it's not the most blurring that I have seen and played with as far as like other primers, but it is very good at moisturizing and giving your skin a little bit of color. I love using this when my body is fake tanned and I need to kind of match my fake tan from my body to my face. I love using this. And this does have a kind of like luminous finish. So it's very, very pretty, either under a foundation or a tinted moisturizer, like I said, or just on its own. And then this is very, very similar, and I want to mention this one as well. This is the Hollywood Flawless Filter. I would still technically call it a skin tint because it is tinted, but I use this more so as a base. I am in the shade 3 Light Medium. And I just love using this as a base under tinted moisturizers or foundations because it gives your skin such a beautiful glow. And I will show you this on the back of my hand as well. Some people I do know go in with this all on its own, but for me, it is just a little bit too luminous. So I wouldn't, but that is what it is right there. It is absolutely gorgeous, but for me personally, that is like a little bit too dewy to have all over my face, especially because in my T-zone, so like my forehead and down the center of my face, I do get oily throughout the day, so that would just be like a little bit too much. But like I said, it is beautiful as a base, so I did want to mention this one as well. Okay, so now we're gonna move into the true tinted moisturizers, and the first one, and probably the one I've had in my collection the longest, and also have had a love-hate relationship with, is the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer with SPF 30. So I will kind of explain my love-hate relationship with this. When I first purchased this, I did not understand the concept of a tinted moisturizer. I just thought it was gonna be like a foundation. So I applied this and I was very much disappointed because it did not give me the coverage I was expecting. But now that I know that tinted moisturizers give like a light, maybe medium coverage, I've gone in with like a different idea of what it's going to do and how it's going to perform. So now I absolutely love it. It is amazing for those days that I just want to go in, basically slap on a moisturizer and go out the door. It does give your skin a little bit of coverage, but I wouldn't say it gives it a lot. It definitely is on the lighter side of the coverage spectrum. It does have SPF 30, which is an added bonus. I do know though, when SPF is included in a product, it can tend to make people oily throughout the day. So this might be one that you want to set with powder, especially if you have an oily skin type. I do know that they make this in an oil-free version as well, but just a little heads up. But I absolutely love this. I gravitate for this very, very often, especially on the days that I'm just going to the gym and then running a few errands. I'll just wear this instead of wearing ones that I'll show later in this video. But definitely one of those products that I feel like everybody should have in their collection to have as an option, because I think you just surprise yourself of how much you'd reach for this. So it looks like that, and I am in the shade Sand. And mind you, all of these shades are like my darker summer tan or summer shades, but as you blend it in, it just sinks into the skin automatically. It is very, very moisturizing as well, and it just gives just the perfect amount of luminosity to the skin, and it makes it just look so healthy. Now I have freckles and I can still see my freckles through this, so that kind of gives you an idea of how much coverage it gives. All right, and then next up, we're getting into a little bit more coverage. So this has been an oldie but a goodie. This has been around for forever. I think this was one of my first tinted moisturizers besides the Laura Mercier one. I've had this for forever. I remember going to the MAC counter and asking for this. It's just, it brings back all the memories. I feel like MAC is like the OG brand that like everyone kind of like forgets about, but it's just, they have such good products. So I have both the MAC Face and Body, which is the original version, as well as the MAC Studio Radiance Face and Body. The only difference between these, as the name would suggest, is this one has a little bit more radiance and luminosity to it. This is a new release from this summer, but MAC Face and Body has been around for years. I love both of them. Face and Body definitely has more of a natural finish, whereas the Studio Radiance has more of a luminous finish. I am actually wearing this one today. I love it. It is beautiful and stunning. I feel like this Face and Body has, out of all of these, looks the most like skin. Like you put it on and you can barely tell that you have makeup on. Like when you're up close, you can't tell that I'm wearing makeup. So I absolutely love that about this. And this is kind of like a weird but cool technology, because once you put this on with your fingertips, the more you rub it into the skin, the more coverage you get out of it, and you can definitely build it. I know some makeup artists use this in their kits for bridal makeup just because it just provides the best amount of coverage, like not too much but not too light either, and it wears phenomenally. So obviously you can tell I really like this just by how I'm describing it. I do have the shade C5. This is my fake tan shade. And then I do have N1 for my very, very pale self. So I absolutely love these. These do not have SPF in them, however. So if that's something you're looking for, these do not have them. You'd have to go in with a separate SPF beforehand. I will show you what this looks like on the back of my hand as well. And a lot of these just look the exact same as I'm like doing this on my hand. But It's just the nature of the product because they are tinted moisturizers. So they're gonna be lightweight, very fluid, and so they're all gonna kind of look the same on my hand, but I figured I'd just show you nonetheless. But yes, MAC Face and Body, an OG and a goodie. All right, so another new release this summer, or this January. I will link it in the cards above so you can go and watch that. I did a first impressions video on this product right here. This is the Urban Decay Stay Naked Hydromaniac Tinted Glow Hydrator. What is up with these long names? I have the shade 40 or light medium. Now, I put this in right after MAC the Face and Body just because this does have a little bit more coverage because it's thicker. So, and I can show you that on my hand. It is made with kombucha filtrate and marula oil, and it is very, very, very glowy and luminous, very, very hydrating. So if you have an oily skin type, I'm not sure if you would enjoy this product, to be honest with you, but that is what it looks like. It definitely, like, you can tell it's starting to cancel out the veins on my hand, but it's very, very pretty. However, like I said, if you have an oily skin type, you would definitely want to powder after using this. But I noticed that I get very dewy throughout the day. It's just, I feel like because of the kombucha filtrate and the marula oil that's built into this, it just tends to give me quite a bit of a glow. But nonetheless, I do love it. There's no SPF in this, but it is lightweight and very beautiful to apply, very luxurious. It feels very hydrating when you put it on. And again, I love using my fingertips with this, like I do all of them. And one thing to note though with this, because of the fact that it is very luminous and dewy, I find that this does not last very well personally, so I would just keep that in mind. All right, so the next one, which crept into my collection not that long ago, it was like the beginning of this summer when it launched, and has easily and quickly become one of my absolute favorite go-tos for a tinted moisturizer, and that is the Fenty Ease Drops. I know this was talked about and hyped about all over YouTube and Instagram, but for very good reason. I kid you not, this tinted moisturizer, they call it and market it a blurring skin tint, and I would 100% agree with that. This just makes your skin look like a filter. I'm not kidding. Like, when you put this on, it looks like you have an Instagram filter on your face. It is lightweight, very easy to blend, and very moisturizing and very blurring. So out of all of these, I would say this is probably the easiest to apply if you're looking for like a light to medium, more on like the medium coverage that's gonna last all day. This is definitely one of my favorites and what I would recommend out of all of these. I do have the shade 11. Whoop. This is my darker shade. And I thought about wearing this today before I grabbed the MAC Face and Body, but this does have more of a natural finish, whereas the MAC Face and Body, the Radiance one, has a little bit more of a glow, and that's just kind of what I was feeling today. But I wish and I hope that they come out with a glowy version of this, because I will immediately buy it. But this is absolutely stunning. I don't know what kind of magic is in this little bottle, but any little imperfection, like acne or for me, pores, freckles, this will just even out your skin tone and make you look so flawless. I will show you on the back of my hand, and this does not have any SPF in it too, so it's just a little squeezy tube. So there it is. It just evened out my, like, look at that, evened out my hand and made it look airbrushed, really and truly. It is so incredible. I absolutely love this product. And like I said, if you're going for just an easy one and done that you want in your collection, I would say out of all of these, I would do the Laura Mercier. I'd have this in my collection because it's a little bit less coverage than this is, but I'd have this in my collection. I'd have this in my collection for the days that I want a little bit more coverage. And then another one that I'm going to talk about in a couple minutes. Those three and you would be set. So just a little tidbit, but absolutely love this. 10 out of 10 would recommend, and it wears phenomenally throughout the day. Alrighty, another new product to my collection is the Lancome Skin Feels Good Hydrating Skin Tint. And this does have SPF of 23, and I have the shade Beige. I recently tried this out and it's very, very similar to the Fenty Skin Tint, but this I feel like has more of like a velvet finish to the skin, and like coverage wise, it has a little bit more coverage than the Fenty one does, but just by a hair. Like there is not much difference between the two as far as the coverage. But if you want your skin to look like velvet and feel like velvet, this is an amazing product. This one plus this one, both of these, I do not have to set with powder because of the fact that they kind of leave your skin feeling like velvet a little bit. I feel like that's the best way to explain it. But I do not have to set with powder with either of these. I can, and sometimes I do, especially if I know I'm doing like leg day, for example, but I do not have to. So just throwing that out there. But I love this. This is another one that I reach for a lot, but it's incredible. I think though that between the Fenty and this one, they are so similar that you would not need both. But this is definitely one of those products that I was just kind of blown away by. Like I went into it not having that much expectations out of it, and then I was like, wait a second, this is gold. I ended up getting my lighter shade, like my more like fair skinned shade as well. So if that says anything, yeah. So let me show you what this looks like. It has a pump. Absolutely love it when products have a pump, especially when it comes to like skin tints and foundations. But that's what it looks like, and then just rubbing it in. This one is definitely lighter in texture and feel than the Fenty Skin Tint, but as you can see, it has very similar effects. And I would say it's definitely more of a natural finish. It does not have a lot of luminosity to it. You know, based on the name Skin Feels Good, I would agree with that because my skin definitely does feel good when I'm wearing this. Alrighty, you guys, last but not least, this is the last tinted moisturizer that I have for you. Now, this is hands down my favorite out of all of these, and the ones that I talk about the most. I've talked about it here on my channel, and I've talked about it on Instagram. Whenever I get asked in like Instagram stories what I'm wearing on my face, it's always this product. I just feel like this photographs so well, and it also videos really well as well. So if you're on camera or you're on Instagram stories, like it looks really, really pretty and flawless. And that is the IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better CC Cream. I have it in two different formulations. I have the original as well as the illumination version. Now, both of these, they do have SPF 50 in them, and I am in the shade Natural Medium. I love this product, but I'm going to preface that it might not be for everybody because of the fact that when you think of CC cream, you think of like a lighter coverage, like a tinted moisturizer or a skin tint, but these have medium to full coverage. Like you get so much coverage out of these. At first, when I first applied it, I went in with way too much product. I like pumped out 2 pumps because I'm like, oh, it's just like a tinted moisturizer. I'm just gonna slap it on, it's gonna disappear. No. It looked horrible the first time I did it, but it was because I went in with way too much product. I've learned that with this, less is more for sure, and I just go in with a pump, like a tiny pump, because this has so much color pigment to it and just the nature of the thickness of this product. You do not need a lot. So this is what it looks like. And you can tell just like right there how much that deposited onto my hand, and then just kind of blending it out. It completely covers everything. And this is the original formulation, so it doesn't have a lot of luminosity, but it does have just like a little bit, as you can tell, but it covers everything. So I would say this is, out of all of these, the most like a foundation, if I'm being honest, but because it is in the formulation of a CC cream, it's super easy to blend in with your fingertips. You do not need a brush for this, which I love because it's just more user-friendly in my opinion. But I absolutely love this. I reach for this probably the most out of all of these, and the longevity of this is amazing. I can work out in this, I can go to work, and I can come home, I can get splashed in the face with water, and I can come home and it still looks the exact same as how it did when I first applied it. So that in itself is phenomenal. This is talked about and raved about everywhere, but for good reason. Now with these, I would definitely set with powder just because it is a little bit tacky. Like, it doesn't set down really well, so I would set this with powder, but it is very, very moisturizing too, which is nice. But I think I've rambled on enough about all of my tinted moisturizers and skin tints. I hope you found this video informative. I always like sit down to do these and I'm like, there's so much to talk about, like there's so many things that I want to mention. But if I forgot anything, or if you have additional questions, ask me in the comments below. I will for sure answer them. Yeah, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and let me know what your favorite tinted moisturizers or skin tints are in the comments down below as well. I'd love to know, especially because they're just my go-tos. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.